And welcome to Live1.tv. You're here with the Crypto Brothers, and I'm here with my partner, Mike Reyes. Mike, tell us what's the big news right now with crypto.
Well, the big news is that it is Crypto Week in Washington, D.C., and as of just shortly, a few hours ago, let's say, we just had Congress, the lower house, not Senate, U.S. Senate. The Congress actually just passed 3 separate bills on a procedural vote, not the actual full House vote before it gets to the president's desk. The Crypto Clarity Act, the Genius Act, and the Anti-CBDC State Surveillance Act.
Okay, so these acts are going to do what?
The Genius Act, it just makes sure that stable tokens are paired one-to-one to the US dollar. You remember FTX, right? Basically, the Genius Act in simple language is to prevent something like that from happening again.
I see.
So the Anti-CBDC Act is to prevent what's happening in China, where basically everybody has CBDCs. Like, they don't have actual cash money.
Tell us what that is. Everybody in China has
CBDC, not fiat cash money.
China bank digital currency?
Well, central bank digital currency. But yes, in this aspect, it would be the digital yuan. So it would be if that makes it easier for people to understand, yeah, it's a China bank digital currency. So even to buy a piece of gum or a cigarette, which you do in China, right? You can buy just separate. You don't have to buy a whole box of cigarettes, for example. You need to use your phone, WeChat, an app on WeChat. Use that, scan it, and that's how you pay for everything.
Wow.
So if you go to the bank, they can't give you cash money because they don't have it.
Yeah.
It doesn't exist. And the thing with that is that they use it to surveil on people. If you say the wrong thing on social media, they can shut down the account, and you basically have no money to spend.
Well, I wish they would stop doing that because it just makes the country look less and less attractive, doesn't it?
Yes, but the reason they're passing the law here so it doesn't happen here, because other places, like, for example, Europe, they're trying to develop their own version of the European central bank digital currency. So the U.S., we have the Freedom Caucus, Marjorie Taylor Greene and Pauline, I believe her name is, from Florida. They said that they couldn't vote the first round for these pieces of legislation because they were separate. They want to basically group them together. This is going to sound a little complicated, but the Genius Act has the best chance of getting passed for the President Trump's desk this week. However, the Clarity Act is not so attractive, probably in Q4. The Anti-CBDC Act, it's the least attractive, so it's the one that has less likelihood to pass on its own. So what they want to do is group them together so they can all pass. And President Trump spoke to them yesterday and said, listen, we'll pass, I promise you I'll do my best to pass all 3, but just get me the Genius Act first.
Oh. All right, so is there anything that, do you think this will affect the price of Bitcoin, for example, this government legislation, or is it not really something that affects the value of the crypto?
It already is affecting it, just based on the procedural vote, not the fact that they haven't had the final vote yet, just because there's a high likelihood now that it's going to pass with the final vote. And Bitcoin is pumping, it's going crazy because of the expected votes this week. Last week, if you remember, Bitcoin went from like $105 to like $123,000. It went crazy. In anticipation of, sometimes you have like a buy the rumor, sell the news kind of situation, but this is almost like a buy the news and buy the rumor and buy the news, because during this week, every time we get good news out of Washington, D.C., the prices just keep going up and higher and higher and higher. Right,
and I'm sorry, I didn't quite catch the jump that you mentioned. It went from $105,000 to
$123,000, which is insane for any asset. No asset class performs this way, except for like the Circle IPO, which is also a crypto-related IPO on the stock market, the New York Stock Exchange. But generally speaking, outside of cryptocurrency, if an asset goes up 7% in 1 year, that's considered extremely, extremely parabolic. Bitcoin, the past 4 years, average, it has gone up 67% each year.
You can get your own cool Dogecoin t-shirt from us here at Live1TV. DM us on X.
Again, a hedge fund or private equity fund that manages money for high net worth individuals, 7% a year is high.
Yeah, right. Incredible. All right, let's just see if there's more we want to talk about here. So we're getting news every minute right on our phones and computers right now. Has this thing settled for today? Have they already passed the vote? And is there another step to it?
Right now, so the original plan was yesterday they would have the procedural votes for everything. They would go through. The next step would have been for the House to pass the Genius Act, I believe tomorrow morning, Thursday. And today they were going to pass, I believe, the Clarity Act. Again, the Anti-CBDC Act was kind of like going to be put on the back shelf. That's what people were scared. Like, we need to bunch this together so that gets included. But anyway, Now that they passed it today, it looks like they're going to pass the Genius Act first. Again, I'm not sure. This is still evolving. The Genius Act first, because that one already went through the Senate. If you need me to slow down, just let me know. So the Genius Act already went through the Senate, and now it's in the House. As soon as the House has the last full vote, they're going to send it to President Trump's desk for signing.
Right.
However, the Clarity Act and the Anti-CBD State Surveillance Act, they originated in the House. So they still have to go through the Senate first before they can go to President Trump's desk.
Okay.
So the Genius Act is the bill that has the highest likelihood of getting passed this week.
So the Genius Act is involved in protections.
Yes.
Okay. And the Clarity Act is also about protections and bringing the SEC in
a different way. So what the Genius Act aims to do is, again, make sure that exchanges have reserves. Everything's paired 1-to-1. Like you have Bitcoin, you have the same amount in U.S. Treasuries, for example.
Right.
That's the Genius Act, but mostly for stable tokens. And it gives clarity for banks like JP Morgan Chase, Bank of America, Standard Chartered to also issue their own stable tokens.
All right.
The Clarity Act, what it does is takes the cryptocurrencies that are in existence, like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, XRP, etc., and makes it so that they're under the purview of the CFTC, the Commodities Commission in the United States, versus the SEC, the Securities and Exchange Commission. Right now, there's a gray area where some people don't understand if they're securities, which are stocks, or commodities. If you take all the cryptocurrencies and basically say they're commodities, it's much easier to govern them. Because, for example, a commodity can be gold, silver, copper.
I see.
That's not as heavily regulated as like stocks in the stock market.
Right.
Is
So
that-
that's why they brought the SEC in.
Yes.
Right.
And they want the SEC to be out,
And
except for cases of, there's a provision in the Clarity Act, they're using a crypto as a security. If a company were to, like you and I were to establish a crypto bourse company, and we want to now launch an initial coin offering,
Yep.
that's a security. They're like, in that kind of a situation, you're under the purview of the Securities and Exchange Commission because you're using the crypto as a security. However, if it's a commodity like Bitcoin, which is digital gold, or Litecoin, which is digital silver, or Ethereum, which is digital oil, right? Those are commodities. We want to make sure that those are governed by the CFTC.
all right, I'll have to ask you about that more after I do a little bit of homework here. And so this is pretty huge news. And this goes together with an investment of the U.S. government, too.
Yes.
And did they put the investment into Bitcoin or Ethereum? And how much investment has the United States put into, is it Bitcoin primarily?
Yeah, that's correct. So they have what is called the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve, and they have a crypto strategic stockpile. The crypto strategic stockpile took any cryptocurrency that the government had, they had seized from nefarious actors or anything, and they just put it into a Fort Knox-like reserve where they just keep it and just let it grow.
Right.
As investments grow, those cryptocurrencies grow in value. Maybe in 10, 20 years, they'll sell them, or they'll borrow against them. That's the crypto strategic stockpile. The Bitcoin Strategic Reserve specifically, they did the same thing, took all the Bitcoin in the possession of the U.S. government. But in addition to that, they can find budget neutral ways that are going to cost the taxpayer a dime to add Bitcoin to that reserve.
Wow.
Like, again, it's the similar situation to Fort Knox, but they can add to it.
That's incredible.
So the main point is actually Bitcoin. And just, they had the other cryptocurrencies just because they had them anyway. And they're like, hey, it's an investment. But the U.S. government aims to buy as much Bitcoin as humanly possible.
Wow.
They want to have, I believe they want to obtain 1 million Bitcoin in the next 5 years, which is, by the way, insane. No company on earth has that on the planet.
Wow, this is a huge turnaround from 2 years ago when Jamie Dimon at Chase was, laughing at crypto and people didn't think, and considered it a threat to the U.S. government. And now we have the president saying the United States is going to be the crypto capital of the world, and they've made billions of dollars investment in it. And with these laws passing, it's been a big change in 2 years, hasn't it?
Jamie Dimon specifically, you just said it, right? 2 years
Yeah.
ago, I basically said he called it a scam.
They were laughing at
I think
the
he
whole
was
thing.
doing that 3 months ago, but just yesterday, breaking news, he says that as soon as the legislation gets through, that their company, JP Morgan Chase, the one that Jamie Dimon is the CEO of,
Right.
is going to launch a stable token.
Wow.
And on top of that, I honestly think that pretty soon, because Standard Chartered and Bank of America have already said that they will, as soon as possible, offer crypto custody services for their retail customers, I believe that JP Morgan Chase is going to follow suit.
Wow. It sure would be interesting. I know he's pretty old right now, but I'd love to hear what Warren Buffett has to say after this is passed, because he was along with Charlie Munger at Berkshire Hathaway also calling cryptocurrency a Ponzi scheme.
However, remember that his mentor would have never invested in tech companies, and Warren Buffett did invest in tech companies. Mm-hmm. He is now stepping down and giving the reins to somebody that's younger, right? Yeah. Gen X, I believe the person's probably in their 40s or 50s. There's a high likelihood that he may just say, listen, my mentor, Warren Buffett, wouldn't, but I'm going to because it just makes sense.
Wow.
Again, even Cathie Wood's, ARK Investments, the biggest hedge funds in the world, the biggest private equity firms in the world right now, they are all getting some kind of a position in crypto. Look at BlackRock, the biggest asset manager in the world, right?
Yeah.
By any margin.
Apparently so.
Yes. Their most profitable ETF, exchange traded fund product, has been the Bitcoin one that's been available for basically almost 2 years now, a little over 2 years. The most profitable in their company's history of any product has been Bitcoin.
Wow. And you talk about disciples, choosing Bitcoin where their mentors didn't. Another example is actually Warren Buffett's prodigy, Patrick Byrne. So, Warren Buffett had Patrick Byrne manage a whole bunch of companies for him, and they have a very close relationship. But Patrick Byrne is fully into crypto.
Is that the person taking over his company? Patrick is the person taking over his company?
That's right.
Okay, so yeah.
He stepped down from CEO, but he's still the founder of Overstock, and he's a really interesting person in crypto, Patrick Byrne.
Everybody's going to be going in a direction.
Yeah.
Because even look at the whole, President Trump's whole cabinet is pro-crypto.
Yeah,
That Paul Atkins, the new head of the Securities and Exchange Commission, is pro-crypto. We have ETFs coming out every week. 2 weeks ago, we had the Solana ETF come out. Basically, an ETF means that it's on the stock market. Solana is a crypto project.
I didn't know that.
Also, the XRP one is going to be coming out this Friday as well in the stock market. And make things even crazier, this is going to be a little complicated. I'm not going to get too in-depth. This is something for another day. But we had an ISO 222 migration happen this past Monday.
What's that?
Basically, it means that all the banks in the U.S. had to transfer from the old system that they were using to transfer money from bank A to bank B to ISO compliance, ISO 222. And certain cryptocurrencies can read this language. XRP, Algorand, Hedera, Hashgraph, and I believe it's Quant. Those are the ones that are officially compliant. So right now, banks can legally use money. Like if I'm sending you money, I have a Bank of America account, you have a Chase Bank account, and I want to send you $100. When they actually send the money from bank to bank, they can actually use cryptocurrency now. As of July 14th, 2025. That's domestically. But for internationally, SWIFT system, from Bank of America sending $20 million to the Bank of Tokyo, that deadline is November. So cryptocurrency is going to be being used by banks for international transactions as well this year.
Well, I don't think we need any more. Crypto is here to stay, and this should put an end to that conversation about how serious a currency it was.
I hope so. I mean, we're here now. I was joking on social media actually, I think I did this yesterday. I said that 2 years ago, if you asked me what I did for work, I would say I work in crypto. As of the 22nd of this month, when President Trump's cabinet has to have the deadline to give their full report on cryptocurrency and how all the departments have to adapt to the cryptocurrency standards, I will say that, hi, I'm Mike Reyes, and I work in finance.
I see. Right. That's incredible. All right. Mike, thanks for the update from Washington.